All right, Renan, you're up. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. We are Zach and Renan, and we are always irresponsibly long. Lots going on. What our crypto? Is this a crypto winter? I don't really know what this is, but it's chilly. But it's been an interesting December and January. Certainly a bloodbath in my altcoins and an absolute boom in my NFTs. How's it going for you?
Well, sounds about right. Except that, of course, if you were in the right coins last week, you did pretty well. But of course,
Well,
you're having
what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you say? The right coins last week? You'll have to elaborate on that because I'm not sure what they were.
Well, I mean, looking at crypto bubbles here, right?
Yeah.
What do we see?
Are we on a week? Yeah, we're on the week. Yep. Actually, let's look at it. Let's look at the month. You know what I like?
So
it's funny.
You're saying zoom out, right?
Yeah, well, zoom out. You zoom out, and the only thing worth its salt was osmosis, and that's really funny because if as you know, I'm pretty big on Atom, Cosmos, IBC, interblockchain connectivity, Decenter, doing their work on. They're based on Cosmos Tendermint, and so this does not surprise me that we're seeing this kind of bath. But I do think we're seeing we're seeing things reset. Basically, we're seeing and get to the week here. We can see that things have moved back up. Like Sand got a nice bounce, and there goes Bat Token, which I always like to see because that's very similar to my, of course, favorite Decenter with their sub 10 million market cap. And oh, by the way, I do want to mention, of course, the reason I talk about it is my biggest crypto bag, but also I do consult directly with Decenter, and though I don't get paid for that right now. I'm doing that for free, for fun, because I like the company and I like the token, and of course I'm a big holder, but that's because I believe in the vision. But there's been a lot going on there, so I can talk about Decenter all day. But I do find it very interesting what's going on here in the overall market. I really like AVAX and Fantom right now. In particular, if we look at Nansen, that's where it gets super interesting.
Show us Nansen. Let's see.
Yeah, I really like these the data here, the multi-chain data on Fantom and AVAX. It's quite awesome. So we just look at this for Fantom. I mean, look at the transaction volume. And look at this is early January, and just look at the gas. Look at the transactions going back up, and you'll see back when things were really booming, September into October, November, remember when alts were running like absolute crazy. We had this huge spike in DeFi and on Fantom. Of course, we had the grim hack.
What date was that?
This peak back here. That's a great question. Yeah. This is 12th of September. So this was that run up. Remember, there was that big red day when didn't China do something? They like said they were leaving crypto or something. like the third time last year that they messed up the market. So I think that we saw the metas run, the Sandbox and so forth, when Mana went crazy back in that time frame. But there's just a lot going on there with DeFi, and everything I hear about, there's just a lot of chatter about Fantom. But what I like is that it's not just talk, there's data backing it up. And then if we look at Avalanche, same kind of thing. Now we're talking about, instead of more DeFi, I think we're talking about more games. But look at the transactions with the play to earn games on AVAX. You can't fake this. I mean, this is, this right here, I mean, this is absolutely gold. And if you look at the price of AVAX, the fact that it's way down on the month. Let's see if we can you spot it? There it is, minus 35%. That doesn't make any sense. It's gone down 35% during a period in which its transactions are absolutely mooning. And so unless those transactions go away, it's just a great buy. And of course, AVAX is one of my bigger altcoin holdings, along with Fantom, Boo, Atom, and of course, my big bag Decenter. But I really like it a lot. I mean, and I like it a lot more than something like, say, Sand is down 36% too, but it pumps so hard. I mean, when is it going to pump again? I don't know. Is it repriced correctly yet? I don't know.
Well, is any of this, right? It depends on the macro.
Right, but that's why we're looking at real companies, though, right? We're not just playing. And you know, we could talk about meme coins today too, which are getting a lot of they're getting a lot of talk on Twitter. I'm seeing them on the Telegram calls channels and stuff, all kinds of stuff going on, big buys. But that's just it doesn't have a basis in reality, which is why you don't see me chasing that stuff, except on a rare occasion when there's some really stupid looking money flow and I just want to make a bag real quick and I play with some Vegas money. But I don't do that much. And right now I have no interest. I just you know, if you look at AVAX, you're talking about the real deal. You look at Fantom, it's a real deal. You know, you've got real business going on. And even ETH, I mean, ETH being 30% off. You know, I don't have as much of a call on ETH, like, because, you know, I feel like NFTs have run so hard. If ETH runs up, then, you know, we just had that play out, right? We saw back in September, first, you know, the NFTs ran in late August, and then the coins ran for the next several months. Then after November, when things started dumping, NFTs started running December, January. So we had 2 good months of NFTs. So I'm going to say, I believe NFTs are just beginning, right? We're at the beginning of this, of the NFT market. But I will say that NFTs, you know, could use a little breather. We've seen some pretty big floor run-ups. I mean, talking about like what the Bored Apes, I mean, they went from 30 ETH to 100 ETH since September. The Mutant Apes, yet again, my biggest regret, if you want to talk Seneca, was selling my Mutant Ape back in September for 4.4 ETH. Of course, now they're over 20 ETH. I would not recommend buying those. At this point, I do not recommend that at all. And in fact, if you hold a Mutant
I didn't
Ape,
recommend you selling it at 4 ETH, but you know.
Well, that was probably I'll call that my scared moment, because I realized that in September I had over $80,000 invested in NFTs, and I could see that the market was sliding in NFTs, and that was the right call. The only difference being that, you know, I gave up a blue chip, which did then run, but I really kind of screwed up. So I mean, when I started in August, I started in altcoins at a good time, then I started in NFTs at a terrible time. And when alts ran during those next couple months, I was busy losing money in NFTs. And then once I got out of my NFTs, I got into alts just in time for them to crap out. But I didn't go all in. I went half and half. So
Wait, Zach, why is anyone listening to us?
Well, I learned from my mistakes, right? So instead of going all the way back into NFTs, I went halfway back. And that turned out to be a really good play, because my altcoins went down, but my NFTs went up, and I had a bunch of good calls. Well, why would anybody listen to us? Well, as it turns out, we were talking about the sneaky vampires last time, right? Remember when they were 0.65? This is a couple weeks ago. This isn't forever ago, right? Like this isn't like 3 months ago. This was a call we made like 3 weeks ago. And look at this, we're at 124. They made it up to 135. The supply continues to go down. The last time I looked, there was between 650, 750, maybe even 800 vamps. Now we're down in the 550s, and the floor is, of course, coming up. But what did I just say?
The vampresses are coming, right?
The vampresses are coming. I mean, look at that. Look at that. And it's on low, you know, we're not, I mean, there was a nice volume day here, but overall, it's not like it's just one big day. There's just consistent buy pressure. I know I did one up flip. I bought one just over a week ago. I got one that was a little bit more rare for 0.99 when the floor was still about 0.7. And I sold it a couple days ago, 7 days later, for 1.39. So I was pretty happy with that flip. I was actually sad to lose it. I never like selling the good NFTs. But I am happy about that. And then if you want to look at the sneaky bat, and actually I did make a mistake. Well, 2 things. Well, first of all, I was calling it Sneaky Vampires Series because I'm a moron. It's Sneaky Vampires Syndicate. Just got a little excited. And the second thing is I had stated 4 blood a day per vamp. That's wrong. It's 3 blood a day. It's only when you include their bat that you could get 4. If you got the bat drop, then your 3 went to 4. So I mixed that up, but it's 3 blood a day per vamp and 1 blood a day per bat. And that math still, I think, was a good move, because when we look at the bats, they have moved up. They were actually up to 0.2. They're coming back a little bit. And I think this is exactly what I was just saying, which is NFTs, you know, really have run hard. And you know, if you haven't taken profits from your NFTs, if it's not an NFT that you really love or plan to hold long term, you really want to think about that right now. And you sold some of your NFTs too, right? I sold some of my Sneaky Vampires. I sold my, I'm sad to see him go. I sold my NFT Llama NFT passes. My gold pass I sold 3 silver passes, but I did get into Zeneca. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you sold out of some.
I've kept my JRNY membership. I've kept my Llama Pass Gold because I mean they've just been delivering, right?
The whitelist has been crazy.
Llama Pass went through a tough little period there where the promises to the Gold and Silver Pass seemed to be falling short. And
they evolved though.
I got in their chat one day, and just by chance, and there was some complaining going on in the Gold, and I jumped in, for constructive criticism, complaining, and that they really took to heart and did well with and used to really turn the ship around. And so I'm really happy with that community, and pretty much see no reason to sell it, because I'm not one to really grind for whitelist spots. And the better the community, the better the community devs and founders, the more relationships they have, the better the quality of the whitelist opportunities that we can get. So that's kind of my tickets to whitelists. And I guess besides those, and there are a lot of new, really good upcoming NFTs that I've gotten some whitelists for, and that I will be definitely minting. So that's kind of on the agenda for my.
Just bear in mind though, minting is a hard business like that, because if you don't know the team and you're just chasing alpha, you can really get burned fast. So I think when we talk about minting, Renan, you are at the bleeding edge of NFT research right now. I mean, Renan's in Nansen, talking to the Nansen Alpha Group, talking to the Y Whales, consulting on NFT projects. Been watching them very closely for more than half a year, looking at all the blue chips, looking at lots of mints, doing research on lots of new teams. So I think in NFTs overall, I think the important thing for newer buyers is that most of it is garbage. And if you rush in without doing homework, and I don't mean 15 minutes, I mean weeks, like really thinking about it and really knowing what you're buying, you're going to get screwed and you're going to lose a lot of money. I think more people lose money in crypto than make money in crypto. I mean, that's a guess, but look at the market cap. I mean, the market cap went from like 3 trillion down to 1.7. Don't tell me that a lot of people hadn't FOMO'd in during those green candle days. Somebody was buying when people were taking profits, and they got absolutely hosed, right? So really, I think the question for me is what's going to move next? What's going to move the hardest next? And first off, I don't think much is going to happen for a couple of weeks. I think we're going to continue to see some NFT projects move up, but like we just saw, we're seeing some that might be peaking. But I think there's going to be a period where we kind of get our feet under us, where the uncertainty continues to melt away over time, over a period of weeks. That won't happen overnight. But once people get comfortable that a new floor has been established, I think we're going to see some moves. And I really, when I look at the top coins, again, I mean, I get really excited about Fantom. I get really excited about AVAX. I get really excited about Atom. And I'm interested in Matic. It's just a little boring. I'm interested in Axie. I just, I think it's going to go up, but I'm not playing it. I'm not trading Axies right now. I'm not looking that direction. These things, a lot of these, pretty much the top 100 is mostly too big for me, except for the ones that are just have ecosystems that are still exploding and could easily land in the top 5 or top 10, and they're not there yet. So those are the kinds of plays I'm chasing. But I think there are also still some NFT plays out there to be had. Sure. For instance, I did join Zeneca's 333. I had to apply to join. I think that's pretty cool. Oh my gosh, look at this. So I minted this for 3.3, Renan. Yesterday, the floor was 6 ETH. Today, the floor is 10 ETH. So I'll take that. This is my Zeneca pass. So I may have effed up on my Mutant Ape. I did not F up on joining Zeneca. I mean, Zeneca, the first time I ever heard the guy speak, I was like, I need to follow this guy, And look, there's only 333 of these. Only 192 are even minted. Not one person holds more than one.
Bro, are you selling this? Are you flipping it? Or are you holding
No,
it?
no, I am in. Like this sucker could be 100 ETH, right? I mean, you can't get in unless Zeneca lets you in, and there's only 140 or so of those spots left. And otherwise, if you want access to Zeneca's calendar and be able to book free consulting times with him, they're not really free because you got to get into the NFT. But if you want to talk to Zeneca, you can buy this NFT and you can schedule time on his calendar. There's not many people you can get that close to by putting an NFT, by spending a few bucks and putting an NFT in your wallet. And how many of these are available? One. Now, Renan, you actually made a really good call, right? You back in December, you bought a bunch of these Zen Academies. Now there's 7. What are there, like 7777 of these? I don't know the exact number, but it's approximately 7,800.
Yeah.
Now this, look at this. So this is again why. So why is this valuable? Let's start with the team, right? It's Zeneca. So it's a guy who is going to be in this industry for the rest of his career, working hard to provide alpha to these communities. This is all the guy plans to do. He's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of time. This is all he plans to do. So when you talk about team, somebody who's smart, somebody who's going to keep developing, that's what's really exciting. Now, I admit, now, as you see, I own 5 of these. Now, I didn't buy them when you bought them, Renan. You got them back when they were brand new, when I was in my altcoin pain of December. And
I got them for, the mint price of 0.04.
Oh. I mean, how many were you able to mint? Was there a limit?
There was no limit.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that was a chance for somebody to corner. I didn't have enough cash in the right place, and now with like Genie XYZ, if it works, granted, I'm hit or miss on Genie. Sometimes I've lost all the gas. Like you don't realize it's going to fail.
Yesterday.
Huh?
I lost gas yesterday with Genie.
Okay.
I'm going to try gen.xyz next time.
I'm working with their support. They have been replying, but they kind of pissed me off because I had several problems, and they will let you execute a multi-buy when you're trying to sweep NFTs, even if the NFTs are FUBAR'd somehow in OpenSea. They have some kind of error, which means the transaction won't go through, and you're just going to waste all your gas. So I tried to pick up some super speculative gaming land NFTs, the Mars 4, which is super speculative. I'm not necessarily recommending that. I happened to buy it like my first 2 weeks in crypto. I saw an ad and I happened to buy a few pieces of land, and the Mars 4 project bought 3. And because they were so cheap, they were literally sitting at like 0. Some were priced for like dirt. So I tried to sweep them up, just paying, $80 in gas or whatever, $50 in gas. And I ended up losing all my, I lost $300 or $400 trying to sweep. But anyways, back to Zeneca. Let's talk about something that's way less risky. You bought these at 0.04. How many did you get?
Just 5.
Okay, cool. So we both
bought a lot more.
Well, right. But of course, I bought 5 for 5x what you paid. So you could have bought 25 if you had used what I spent, but back when you did it, collectively we're smart, right? Maybe just not in pieces. Yeah, I mean, look at this. I mean, this to me just speaks. And when you look at what happened with NFT Llama, in fact, let's go show everybody what happened with NFT. Was it Llamaverse?
Yeah, and just FYI, Zach, I actually have to bail.
Yeah, well, we will. Oh, this isn't the one.
I actually have to run.
All right, man. Well, it has been fun. But anyways, I definitely think check out those communities like Zeneca. I think stuff like great team.
Well, Zeneca, I think it's probably out of reach for a lot of people, but except for this one, except for the at
0.2. At 0.2.
Right, 0.2, no, 0.2, yeah.
I think that's going to be easily 1 ETH at some point in the coming months.
Yeah, I think it's floor price. I mean, yeah, maybe it might dip a little bit if we go into an NFT. You
got to be willing to wait. Yes, you can't say I need that money back and it can't go down. If that's your plan, then don't buy it.
Yeah, but getting in, just have access to that Discord is well worth it. And
that's right about what I paid. I paid 0.19 and 0.18, something like that, for each of my 5. And I think it's going to pay off within a matter of months. Just a matter of how patient I can stay. All right, man. Well, I had a lot of fun. Appreciate you being on with me today, and we shall continue soon. Have a great rest of your weekend. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Zach? What do we do?
Stay irresponsibly long.
That's right.
Take care.
All right.